on June 23rd was a great moment in history. Not just a historic opportunity for our country, but for Europe as a whole. Perhaps the biggest moment since the Berlin Wall came down. We're not leaving any of our historic ties with our European friends. We are choosing freedom away from the stifling EU institutions. Through NATO, we remain bound through the 1949 treaty to come to the defence of Europe's democracies if they are attacked. The nations and peoples of Europe remain our close friends, our staunch allies and our key trading partners. I believe, however, that our vote to leave the EU will be a positive wake-up call for those European elites who have been far too complacent about youth unemployment that is wrecking lives in southern Europe, about the declining share of world trade that threatens Europe's progress, and about the failure of the Brussels machine to respond to globalisation. Because of our decision on June the 23rd, we are no longer bound to that EU model. We will have our freedom back. Today, I want to talk first about our future place in Europe, second, about building a Greater Britain, and then third, about why I'm the best choice to lead our country forward. So I want to start with the result of the referendum and the clear choice of the British people. The result is final. It must be respected, and I will respect it. The United Kingdom will leave the European Union. Freedom of movement will end, and the British Parliament will decide how many people enter our country each year to live, work and contribute to our national life. Billions of pounds more will be invested in the NHS from the savings we make from cancelling our EU membership fee. The laws and regulations that govern the British people will be made in Britain and not Brussels. And at elections, the British people will be able to appoint or sack politicians, secure in the knowledge that EU bureaucracy cannot undermine their wishes. I intend to keep the negotiations as short as possible. Neither we nor our European friends need prolonged uncertainty, and not everything needs to be negotiated before Article 50 is triggered and the exit process is concluded. My team will set out trade, border and security agreements. Our renegotiation will be in the hands of a dedicated cabinet colleague. I emphasise dedicated. The team that I will assemble to lead Britain out of the EU will consult opposition politicians, business people, farmers, trades unions and trade negotiators. I will consult closely with colleagues from the Scottish, Welsh and Northern Irish devolved parliaments, as well as here in Westminster, to make the most of the huge opportunity that lies ahead. And I will do everything in my power to keep the United Kingdom united. And this brings me on to the second of my three themes for today. The next Prime Minister must bring the nation together. The EU referendum didn't cause divisions, but it certainly did reveal them. Many people are shocked at the result, but they really shouldn't be. What I would like to say to them is, please, don't be afraid. We haven't lost our senses. We haven't stopped caring about each other. We haven't stopped loving our families and our children. we haven't stopped loving our country either. We've just rediscovered our freedom. It's very obvious that many fellow citizens are unhappy with the way the economy works for them. So it won't be enough to protect the working people of this country by just reducing the flow of low-skilled labour, although that is necessary. When there is room for tax cuts, they must be focused on the low-paid. The importance of wealth and job creation is core to all my beliefs. But the richest people of Britain should know that they will not be my priority. Britain will make her way in the world by investing in the skills of her people, not by expecting them to adopt unacceptable conditions. And those people who've become rich by winning boardroom pay rises that bear no relation to company performance should be aware that I find this unacceptable. Too few people in my old field of financial services were ever brought to book for their part in the 2008 crash. So I plan to continue to build on the good work that George Osborne has done in reducing the deficit. We have to get our house in order. The Chancellor's sound Northern Powerhouse project needs to be supercharged, and I will not forget that Sunderland was one of the very first to make very clear last Friday morning their desire for change. I will appoint a key Minister for Housing and try my hardest to keep him or her in the job for the rest of the Parliament. I want a Minister who thinks of nothing other than how to use a bigger housing budget to deliver on the aspirations of the working people of this country. And as well as spending on roads, railways and broadband, I want to make rapid decisions on airport expansion. Business needs certainty. I will prioritise new trade deals with the fastest growing parts of the world, a simpler tax system and an immigration policy that's focused on bringing the most talented people to this country. Workers' rights under my leadership will be protected and enhanced, as my friend Gisela Stewart MP and I made very clear during the referendum debates. The national living wage, the apprenticeship levy and Michael Gove's important pupil premium will all be safe under my watch. And I commit today to guaranteeing the rights of our EU friends who have already come here to live and work. We must give them certainty. There is no way they will be bargaining chips in our negotiations. So finally, why me? It was a big decision to put myself forward to lead our country. One that was driven by my absolute conviction that our future and that of our children and grandchildren will be so much better outside the European Union. But my real passion in politics is my desire for social justice, for a transformation of our society. For nearly 2 decades, I've been chairing and founding new charities to support the earliest years of life. There is no doubt that the period from conception to the age of 2 is critical. It is during this period that the lifelong emotional capacity of a human being is largely set up. Being able to learn, being able to make friendships, to hold down a job, to have a sense of self-worth. These sound very basic, but for too many in our country, these things are elusive. And there is a financial angle to this. The choice our country faces is simple. We can spend more on early intervention, or we can spend much more on picking up the pieces of lives that struggled at school, struggled in work, and all too often found themselves without hope. Now, I am certain we can change that, and my absolute commitment is to the emotional health of our nation. So what else have I done? Well, I've been in business for 25 years, running businesses large and small, and working in charities. I know from very long experience how our economy works. I know how to strike a deal in a tough negotiation. And I know, as a woman, how to succeed in a man's world, and how to fight the unfortunate prejudice that many working mums still experience.